All right, Miss Gladney, if you'll continue, please. All right, so our goals for this evening is we will have an introduction. We're going to review our ESOL services, our ESE services, 504 services, and some upcoming events. Here is a welcome from our VPA of Florida Administration. Miss Brenda Santiago is our head of school. Dr. Melissa Stokey Larson is our principal. Dr. Amber Pennington is our assistant principal. We also have Miss Joey Ernst with us this evening, and she is our special education coordinator. Miss Tanya Dix is our ESOL coordinator here with us this evening. And from the Student Success team, I am Betty Ammon. I'm the Student Success Coordinator. We also have Kelly Bull, who is our school counselor. She works with students in kindergarten through 5th grade, and she also is our 504 liaison for those grade levels. And Miss Brittany Gladney is our school counselor who works with grades 6 through 10, and she is the 504 liaison for those grade levels. We're going to begin by giving you information regarding our ELL services, which is for English language learners. Here's Miss Tanya Dix.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I just want to share a few of our services that we provide to our English language learners. We provide academic support to the students, and that can be just their home language dictionaries or home language glossaries. That could be small group sessions where I'll assist them with either their classwork or even homework. We provide ELL resources to the teachers. Once again, that would be the home language dictionaries and the home language glossaries for the teachers to assist the students in their classroom. And any other support that the teachers need in the classroom, I'm always there for them. Next slide. Who qualifies for ELL? ELL is also sometimes referred to as ESOL Services. It's the same, it's interchangeable. It just depends on what county you're in and what school system. All school systems use a different reference to English language learning students. And the way you qualify is when the parents register at the beginning of the school year or whenever the student enrolls. If they answer yes to two or more of the questions on the home language survey, that means that the child is initially screened for ELL. And once the screening is complete, they will be eligible for all of the accommodations and also the services that we provide for ELL students. Also, if the students are enrolled and they were in the ELL program in their previous school, they will also be eligible for ELL services at VPrep of Florida. Next slide. Thank you. Some of the accommodations that we provide is extended time for assignments and tests in the classroom. Also, the use of home language dictionaries and glossaries, as I mentioned earlier, and also during testing, especially the in-person testing, the PM3, they will be provided with flexible seating or small group seating. Next slide. And at this time, we are doing the end of the year screening for our ELL students. So if you are ELL students, you will be contacted to take the WIDA Access for L. The dates are February 5th through March 7th. It is an in-person test. We have several administrators and members of our cabinet who will be administering this test, also myself. Thank you.
All right, and now I would like to introduce Miss Joey Ernst. She's going to review our ESE services.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I am the ESE coordinator here at Virtual Prep Academy. I'm just going to kind of go through our slides, and then if people have questions at the end, I can answer. What is ESE? ESE stands for Exceptional Student Education, sometimes referred to as special education. And depending on the county where you maybe have been for school, the name could be different in each county. But at our school, we refer to us as our department as ESE. Exceptional student education is specially designed instruction and related services that are provided to students with disabilities and students who are identified as gifted. Next slide, please. So there are some laws and policies that govern ESE services. The first is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as IDEA. It is a special education law that mandates regulation for students with disabilities to protect their rights as students and the rights of their parents. Within that law, there's what we call FAPE, which is it requires all students receive a free and appropriate public education. And then within there, we have a policy that says all students should be educated in the least restrictive environment. So with this, it says that we must follow the law to educate all students, regardless of their disability. Next slide, please. How do students receive ESE services? I'm going to try my best to read through all of these and not get you all confused. You must be a child with a disability, having been evaluated and having an intellectual disability, a hearing impairment, including deafness, a speech or a language impairment, a visual impairment, including blindness, a serious emotional disturbance, an orthopedic impairment, autism, traumatic brain injury, and other health impairment, a specific learning disability, deaf blindness, or multiple disabilities, and who, by reason thereof, needs special education and related services. So just because someone or a student has been diagnosed with one of these in these 13 categories does not mean that they will receive ESE services. A committee will meet, an evaluation will be completed, and once all of those steps have happened, then we will decide on what ESE services are provided to the student. Next slide, please. Once a student is evaluated and found eligible for ESE services, an IEP is developed by the committee. What is an IEP? An IEP is an individualized education plan, is a written plan for the special education of a student with a disability. The IEP is like a roadmap. The IEP describes what your student can already do and what your student needs to learn in order to reach their goals. The IEP also identifies the kinds of help that will be provided to your student. Next slide, please. In addition to all of the things that I just mentioned in the last slide that are included on the IEP, some students qualify for what we call related services. Students receiving special education services may also qualify for related services. Below are a list of potential service options. With any service, the addition of such related service is part of an IEP team decision and may require specific assessments to meet qualifying criteria. These are some of the examples of related services that could be afforded to a student if they were to qualify. Adapted physical education, counseling, hearing itinerant services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, psychological services, social skills groups, speech and language services, and vision itinerant services. Next slide. And our team at Virtual Prep Academy, we are made up of 6 exceptional student education teachers, 1 speech language pathologist, 1 school psychologist, 1 occupational therapist, and 1 exceptional student education coordinator. If we have a student that joins our school that is in need of other services, then we contract with an agency or we look to hire someone to come on staff, because we will provide all the services that are required if they are outlined in the IEP. That might be all of them. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Kelly Bull and Brittany Gladney to review our 504 services.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelly Bull, and I am the school counselor for the elementary school students. So anytime you would like to reach out to me, I am here for the elementary school students, and I'd like to talk a little bit about a 504 tonight. What is a 504? Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It's a federal legislation that protects the civil rights of individuals with disabilities. This legislation is designed to prevent any form of discrimination based on a disability. This is an act that is nationwide. If you receive a 504 in Oklahoma, we recognize it here in Florida. In Florida, if you receive a 504 in Hillsborough County, Osceola County recognizes it. So a 504 is recognized nationally. Next, what does a 504 do? A 504 provides accommodations in the regular school setting for a student who, one, have a physical or mental impairment, which two is substantially limits one or major life activities or bodily functions. 504 accommodations are intended to reduce barriers that are related to the student's disability. We call it kind of evening the playing field in terms of equal opportunities. A 504 isn't designed to give a student a leg up, it's just to even the playing field for students who have that medical diagnosis and have a medical condition. The procedure for 504 evaluation for a student with a medical diagnosis. So just because a student has a medical diagnosis doesn't mean that they need a 504. They don't necessarily always need accommodations in the classroom. For example, my own child has a peanut allergy, and that is a medical diagnosis, but he didn't need a 504 in the classroom. But there are procedures for students who may need to even that playing field to help them out and give them accommodations in the classroom. So our procedure is that you're going to contact your school counselor. So if you have an elementary school student, you will contact myself. If you have a 6th through 10th grade student, you will contact my partner, Miss Gladney. You're going to provide us documentation of that medical diagnosis. And like I said, this is a National Rehabilitation Act. So all of the doctors are aware of this. Especially our pediatricians. I know they're very familiar with what a 504 is, so they will provide us that documentation, whether it's on a script or the actual diagnosis form, and then you turn it in. You can email it to us. We would then will send you a consent form, and you consent for the evaluation. Again, just because we have a medical diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean that a student needs a 504. So we go through a process of an evaluation, and we need the parent's consent for that evaluation. Once the evaluation is signed, the student's parent or guardian then does a input form, as well as the teacher does an input form. We will hold a meeting to review those results of the evaluation and kind of make accommodations from there based on each individual student and their needs.
Okay, I'm Mrs. Gladney, and I am the secondary school counselor. So I'm the school counselor for 6th through 10th grade. And these are just some examples of reasons why you would need a 504, but it's not limited to this. This is just a few of the diagnoses and some accommodations that you can have with those. So we have epilepsy, diabetes, visual or hearing impairments, Tourette syndrome, eating disorders, and oppositional defiant disorder. And some accommodations that you might get with some of these is access to phone or glucose monitoring device in class. So if you have diabetes, larger print, a microphone system, access to a restroom, or a behavior system chart. So those are just a few of accommodations that could go with these impairments. Again, these are not the only reasons why you would qualify for a 504. These are just a few of the impairments that we've listed. So this is just some kind of information about 504s. A 504 does not allow you to miss school or excuse you from school. So if you have a 504 and you have some kind of medical diagnosis, it doesn't mean that you get to miss school or miss class or be late or anything like that. It's just accommodations to help you in school, but it doesn't allow you to miss school or excuse you. A 504 does not allow you to be tardy or excuse your tardy. A 504 is an evaluation process. A medical diagnosis alone does not guarantee eligibility. So again, that is just to start the diagnosis, but we will meet as a team and follow the process to see if you qualify for accommodations or if you'll qualify for a 504 itself. Data is collected and accommodations are a committee decision. No accommodation is guaranteed. So once we have that meeting, we will look at the data and determine what would be best for the student to, like Ms. Bowles said, to even the playing field. So we will look at it and see what accommodations would best fit that student. So you may come in the meeting thinking you want this accommodation, but as a team, we may decide that that doesn't fit for that child's needs.
So here we have listed some of our upcoming events. So our future parent nights are on February 28th, March 27th, and April 24th. Some of the topics we will be reviewing is PM3 testing, helping students with testing anxiety, and also summer planning for students and things that they can prepare for the next school year. And all events do begin at 5:30 p.m. We will be sending those out as reminders, and we also include them in our monthly newsletter. So our next newsletter will be coming out next week. They always come out the first week of every month. And just a reminder to go onto our VPA website under parent resources, and every newsletter is always posted there. So if you saw something in a previous newsletter and want to go back to it, it's always on our website. And this is our contact information for everyone who presented this evening. So if you would like to take a picture of this to refer back to contact any one of us, the presentation was also recorded and will be posted on our YouTube page. Thank you so much for attending this evening. We're going to open it now to some questions. If you have any questions, you can either unmute, raise your hand, or put it in the chat. Any questions this evening? Yes.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I have two boys at your school, Alishai Yasharella and Kazak Yasharella.
Mm-hmm.
Alishai is in the 8th grade and Kazak is in the 6th grade. I'm concerned that he might have ODD. So I would like to know what I can do to get him evaluated. I think you mentioned through the medical aspect, through his doctor first.
Yes. I don't know if Miss Ernst, if you would like to take this question response, or if you want
I
Mom to
think,
reach out to you individually.
yes.
Okay.
Mom, if you would reach out to me individually, and I would love to talk to you. I just would prefer not to talk specifically about your
Correct.
boys in front of everyone.
Okay. Your name is Miss Joanna E., correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for attending. I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And again, please feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any further questions. Have a great night. Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Betty, there's something in the chat, actually, I just saw.
Wait, you finished already? already?
Yeah.
That was fast. How was it?
How do I go back?
For the person in the chat, you said you're concerned he's having difficulty in math. If you can just email his grade level counselor, so I'm assuming he's probably secondary. So that would be me, Brittany Gladney. Just send me an email and we can discuss further. All right, bye. Y'all have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.